There are men who can blend into any crowd, yet somehow you always know they're different. Not because they're trying to stand out or make a statement. They're actually doing their best to fly under the radar, but something about the way they move through the world gives them away every single time. You might not be able to put your finger on what exactly feels different about them. They're not louder than everyone else, they're not dressed unusually, and they're certainly not demanding attention. Yet within minutes of being around them, you sense there's more going on beneath the surface than they're letting on. These are Sigma males, men who try to stay invisible, but somehow end up being noticed anyway. Sigma males are those rare individuals who march to their own beat without needing to announce it to the world. They value their independence above social approval and tend to make decisions based on their own judgment rather than what others expect. Most people either fight for attention or try to fit in perfectly, but Sigmas do neither. They simply exist as themselves, and this creates a pull, especially for women, that makes you want to figure them out. The irony is that the harder they try to stay invisible, the more certain behaviors give them away. Their natural way of being creates patterns that stand out precisely because they're not trying to impress anyone. These traits aren't flaws or quirks. They're the inevitable result of someone who's genuinely comfortable in their own skin. Here are 5 Sigma traits that make them impossible to miss, even when they're doing everything they can to avoid standing out. Number 1. He loves being a lone wolf, but he values other people. Did you know that 75% of people feel anxious when they're alone for more than a few hours? That's why most guys either surround themselves with people constantly or really struggle with social connections altogether. But there's a third category that most people don't understand. One of the first things you'll notice about a Sigma male is how much he actually enjoys being alone. Even though they can turn on their charm whenever they want, these guys are never more comfortable than when they're alone. They're natural introverts who need time and space to think and recharge, although some may have a small side of extroversion. Other people can feel like energy vampires around them, no matter how much those people might mean to them. Even hanging out with friends and family can be draining when you're someone who processes everything deeply and picks up on all the emotional signals that most people miss completely. But here's what makes them different from really antisocial guys. Sigma males still understand that they need valuable people in their lives because they know they can't accomplish all their goals completely alone. They're smart enough to recognize that the right relationships can add real value to their life. They just don't need constant social interaction to feel good about themselves. This creates problems in dating, especially with women who are used to guys who obsess and dote over them constantly. Sigma men work best with women who don't need to be around their partner every single moment, because those clingy types of relationships end up feeling way too emotionally and mentally draining for a Sigma man. Number 2. He's mysterious and hard to figure out. Most people are like open books. Spend an hour with them, and you can predict exactly how they'll react to everything, what they'll say in conversations, and what makes them tick. It's like they're following a script that everyone else has already read, which makes social interactions pretty predictable and often boring. This is exactly why manipulative bosses and toxic people can easily take advantage of their employees. They know which emotional buttons to push, what insecurities to exploit, and how to get the reactions they want. But Sigma males have this weird ability to keep people guessing even after months of knowing them. They're not trying to be mysterious or playing some kind of game. They just operate according to their own internal logic that doesn't match the usual patterns most people follow. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. These men don't reveal much about themselves because they've been burned in the past by people who used their personal information against them. Sharing too much gives others ammunition to manipulate or control them, so they prefer to stay low-key and mind their own business rather than opening up to people who haven't earned that level of trust. As Maya Angelou once said, "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time." Sigma males have taken this wisdom to heart and applied it in reverse. They don't open up to others until they know they can trust them. They keep their mouth shut about personal details, future plans, and inner thoughts because they understand that knowledge is power and they're not interested in giving that power to the wrong people. This creates an almost impenetrable mystery that frustrates people, especially those who try to take advantage of others or have hidden agendas. People are naturally attracted to things they can't easily predict or categorize, which explains why mystery creates attraction rather than confusion. The really annoying part is that the more you try to analyze and understand a Sigma, the more complex he becomes because he's not trying to fit into any category or meet anyone's expectations. It's hard to predict someone you don't know much about, and it's even harder to control or take advantage of them when they don't give you the personal information you'd need to push their buttons. This mystery becomes one of the biggest giveaways that you're dealing with a Sigma, even when he's doing everything possible to blend in and avoid standing out. Number 3. He's a capable leader, but refuses the spotlight. Most leaders you see are always in your face about being the boss. They sit in the biggest office, have people following them around, speak the loudest in meetings, and make sure everyone knows they're in charge. Alpha males love this kind of leadership because it feeds their ego and makes them feel important. Sigma males can lead just as well as these alpha types, but they do it completely differently. They have this mix of being able to rely on themselves, think things through carefully, and figure out smart solutions that let them fix problems and make things run better without needing to tell everyone they're the one in charge. That's why most people would want a Sigma on their team. He brings all the strengths of a strong leader without the huge ego that demands constant praise and attention. Working with an alpha leader can be tense and exhausting because of the constant need for control and validation, which creates unnecessary drama, stifles creativity, and drains the team's energy. A Sigma would never quit. He keeps pushing until he solves whatever problem is in front of him. The biggest difference between Sigma and alpha leaders is that Sigma males will do whatever job needs doing, even if it's not glamorous or impressive, because they care more about getting results than looking important. They don't need everyone to know they're the leader as long as things get done right. While alpha males lead loudly to command attention and respect, Sigma males lead quietly through their competence and reliability. They don't seek the spotlight or need to prove they're in charge. They just get the job done, often without anyone even realizing they're the ones leading. Number 4. He doesn't need a social circle to define himself. Alpha males build their whole personality around how other people see them. They need to know they have control over others, and they get their confidence from the validation of people around them. Take away their social circle, and they honestly don't know who they are anymore because their identity comes from their position in the group rather than from themselves. Sigma males work completely differently. They're not afraid of being part of social groups, but they don't drown themselves in social obligations and commitments the way alphas do because they know exactly who they are whether they're surrounded by people or sitting alone in their room. You can see this in how they handle trends and popular culture. They don't follow what's cool. They usually have no idea what's happening with celebrity gossip, and the thought of being popular or becoming a social media influencer sounds like torture to them. Their personality exists totally outside of what other people think or expect from them. What makes this trait such a dead giveaway is how consistent they are across different social situations. Most people act differently depending on who they're with, one way with work friends, another with family, and a totally different way around romantic interests. Sigma males, however, stay exactly the same no matter the context. This actually makes them easier to deal with than most people because once you understand who he is, you never have to guess which version of him you're going to get. He won't let anyone or anything around him change his core personality, which is both refreshing and pretty rare in a world where most people are constantly adjusting themselves to fit in with whoever happens to be watching. Number 5. He's fiercely independent but loyal to a few. There's a famous quote by Jim Rohn that says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." But what happens when someone doesn't need 5 people to feel complete? Most guys either depend on their friend group for every decision they make, constantly calling people for advice and validation, or they're so scared of commitment that they keep everyone at arm's length to avoid being tied down. Sigma males break this pattern in a way that confuses most people because they handle everything in their personal life without needing input from others. However, when they decide someone has earned their trust, they become more reliable and supportive than those who claim to be loyal to everyone they meet. The independence part is obvious. They make major life decisions without needing approval committees, solve their own problems without asking for help, and maintain their emotional stability regardless of what chaos might be happening in their social circle. But here's where it gets interesting. When they choose to commit their loyalty to someone, that commitment runs deeper than most people understand. Psychology says that people who can take care of themselves make better, real friendships because they choose who they want to be with, not because they have to. Sigma males don't stick around because they're desperate for connection. They stay because they've decided someone is actually worth their time and energy. What gives this away is how dramatically different they treat the handful of people they're really close to compared to everyone else. While they maintain polite distance with most people, there's an unmistakable shift in their attention and energy when they're around someone who has actually earned their trust through consistent actions over time, rather than just good intentions and empty promises. If this video spoke to you, go ahead and subscribe for more about the Sigma personality and similar topics. Thanks for watching. And as always, stay strong and keep evolving.